Hi, welcome to Global Marketing Leaders 2025 by Pepper Content. Today, I am being joined by Ashish Bajaj, the Chief Marketing Officer at Narayana Health. Ashish has an impressive background with work ranging from big techs like Microsoft and Ola to now the healthcare sector with Narayana Health. Today, we will dive deep into the challenges that he has faced and what drives him both professionally and personally. Let's hear it from Ashish and see how his journey has been. Thank you, Ashish. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Really excited for the conversation. Healthcare is something that is very personal to me due to some reasons, but I was very excited to be here. First of all, would love to understand, right, what made you be in marketing in the first place, right? And although there's a general trend of people sticking to industries, which hasn't been the case with you, right? So how did the different industries that you have experienced that shaped up you for the job that you have right now at Narayana Health?
Thank you so much for having me. Marketing for me, I say is being part into service industry was never a planned case for me. Belong to a typical North Indian business family. I've been into business for the last 60 plus years and was always supposed to take care of my business, my family's business. And but somehow world had other plans, and after BTech did MBA and got into a media agency, and that's how my love for marketing started, with all the things that I learned while growing up in that the job that's being my first job. So yeah, I think up till now I'm loving it. And specifically on changing multiple industries, I like to say at the end or at the center, the consumer is same.
Right.
It's the different industries allow you to understand different insights working for that particular industry, whereas the consumer itself at the center is the same.
Right.
So that has been the strength that has allowed me to enter into multiple industries. And the core being the same, it's just that it adds another layer of your understanding of the consumer.
Got it. Why healthcare? We do a lot of work in healthcare at Pepper as well, right? And healthcare is probably one weirdly complex, industry, right? Because the reality is you're marketing a product that nobody really wants. They hope they don't ever want it, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a need. It's an infrastructure that is needing to be built out, right? So in this whole complexity of this business and the industry, right? How do you ensure customer centricity? How do you ensure that you're being true to the end customer, not the business? Because probably this is one of those only industries where you have to actually be true to the customer first and not be driven by what the company P&L probably wants to look like, right? So how do you do that when you put out that ad?
So when the organization was built up from ground zero 24 years back, and that was what our chairman also envisioned, that we need to work at a solution, a clinical or a medical solution that can help masses and masses. And he believes also, if there is an innovation in healthcare, if it's not affordable, it doesn't mean innovation. So at a very core, we are an organization that believes in improving for consumers, keeping them in the center again, and that is how we innovate. That is how we build our strategies. That is how we kind of bring in the talent, even at a clinical level. We are always striving for having the best of the technologies. We have our own HIS, best clinical technologies, allowing our nurses to do more with our in-house products like Nama Adi. So that allows our doctors being more efficient. They can do rounds, they can do ICUs from their phone. So all of this allows us to be an organization which thinks about consumer first. And with this, the growth has happened. People have loved us in terms of giving them the right clinical outcomes, giving them the right information, and the loyalty that Sir has. That is also added back to the brand.
Right.
And we are happy that we're going to continue the way we are.
Right.
And we're going to help millions and millions of people wherever we can.
Right.
And we keep striving for that.
Just double clicking on that point, right? I think the uniqueness of the sector lies in probably trying to not build a repeatable business, but more trust, right? It's not that you're looking at a person and how many times that they can transact, but you have to have a sense of, top of the mind trust, if you can call it that, right? So, how do you, do that whole process of unlearning? Because again, the business goal and the marketing goal is different, right? It's foremostly building trust, right? And how do you take into account the different, it's such a like word of mouth driven thing as well, right? A Bangalore famous doctor would be very famous in Bangalore, and then Delhi is a different market, and Mumbai is a different market, right? There are cultural nuances to how doctors are revered or how doctors are looked upon in different cultures, right? So, how do you take about that localization angle to the marketing aspect while ensuring that the goal is not to build a repeatable business, but to actually build the most trustable brand out there?
Agree. So let's pick up an example from different industries where LTV is the thing to build.
Right.
Okay. And I think this as a concept is not part of the industry at all.
Right.
And what you're actually looking at, it was very, very transactional, to be, let's honest, as an industry.
Yeah.
So what the change that we are taking in terms of building that brand for us is not just a hospital brand, but a healthcare brand.
Right.
And we are, in a way, looking at providing solutions which can actually solve at a very, very early age for you, in terms of saying, starting with the preventive, having a program so that you don't end up onto the OT table. So that's our premise of how our organization is moving in future, and how our brand will also be perceived in going forward from now on. So if that is the case, that is when your trust becomes epitome. How people feel right now is that this is a hospital, or ex-hospital wants to make more money on with me, or say why person is trying to exploit a lot of money out of me because of my healthcare. So thankfully, we don't have that imagery perception with us. Over the last 24 years, the efforts that have been put on ground and how the brand is perceived as well. But we want to continue moving in this direction, where we want to be part of people's ecosystem in terms of keeping them healthy.
Right.
And that's how we feel that it's going to be a game-changing situation for the industry.
Right. No, I think that's a very interesting brand ethos, right? If I have to, I deal with marketers day in, day out, right? And I've been building this company for 7 years. I think a hospital that I will trust the most is a hospital that tries to ensure that I don't land up in a hospital, right? I think, the moment a brand takes that positioning, that, okay, we want that you don't come to us, and that's where the customer first approach comes in. I think you very rightly worded that we try to ensure that you don't end up in the OT, right? And I think that's a beautiful brand positioning ethos to build on. It's not even a positioning; it's an ethos which then needs to be transitioned into positioning for the wider audience, right? But just extrapolating from that, right? When you are talking in terms of trust and positioning and everything, right? And not in the usual marketing jargons like LTVs and CAC and all of that stuff. You sometimes get distant from data in itself, right? I think that's a problem that a lot of big company, CMOs face. That, okay, I know which 50% of my marketing works, but I don't know which 50%, right? That's a very famous quote from the HUL CMO. I remember, right? So, when it's not driven by these things, how do you use data and analytics in your marketing job, in your marketing campaigns, and what's the effectiveness measure looking like for you at Narayana?
So we are a data first marketing team.
Right.
And to be honest, we have our market team which works with our internal analytical arm, which is called as Meta. And we together work in terms of looking at data day in, day out. Not only from a point of view of saying from where, what geographies, and which demographic, and which kind of issues or diseases, we also preempt them. So we start working on certain things which are also seasonal.
Right.
We know this is the time where it's going to start working on. So does that, do we start doing certain camps, certain engagement with people at large, so that we are able to inform them about the precaution that needs to be done. So all of this is built on clear data strategies for us. Just like for right now, the entire city is struggling with cases, right? So we start working 2 months in advance in terms of, and going to different RWAs, informing them about the kind of precautions that we have to take, so that it becomes a sense of the team in terms of providing the right information backed with data.
Right.
So, and then it translates first into brand trust. That becomes the output,
Right.
Of course. And then if it has to translate for me that I'm at the top of mind when I'm at the table discussing about where I need to go for my checkup, that becomes us. So it's a via kind of a journey where data leads to conversions. But how we look at it is purely for providing the right information.
Got it. First of all, congratulations to the whole team for getting the license for insurance. Right? I think that's a landmark milestone in the industry, right? Because if you look at it, right, insurance obviously as important it is. It's always been hospitals and insurance providers has always been on the opposite side of the table, right? So you either have an insurance, they'll accept it, they'll not accept it, they'll reimburse some part of it, they'll not reimburse some part of it, right? And that has been a customer pain point, right? I think with a hospital chain, right, or a hospital group like yourself launching insurance, it just becomes so much more, like, obviously higher trust, because if I have the insurance from this organization, I can obviously go to the hospital and ensure that that thing comes out of my pocket, right? But that's a huge step for even you, right, as a brand positioning, marketing, right? So how do you envisage that changing what you do on a day-to-day basis? How important does that become into your day-to-day communication to what you put out there?
So I'll pass on the compliments to the team on the product launch. See, like what we discussed, your movement from a hospital to a healthcare brand, right, will also be delivered through bringing in the right products, right, which are in case required in the life cycle management of a consumer till patient till consumer back. So if we understand that this entire concentric circles, insurance becomes a very important part of bringing that product or say / service for our patients and say consumer to patients. I hope you understand what the transition I'm trying to make between these two cohort of a single person. So our story becomes much more solid. Our understanding with the patient or say consumer becomes much more solid in terms of the connecting with the brand or say the hook with the brand, saying that yes, it's an insurance which is backed by the brand that I am going to work in terms of clinically as a network also. Right. And then it gives me the trust saying that I am in the right space. Because at a patient level, at a consumer level, the current industry insight is from a patient's point of view is completely what you actually said. Between the insurance and the network provider or say the hospital, nobody's thinking about me. Yeah. And that is why you top them up by saying that these are the kind of preventive health checkups that you should go for. This is the kind of programs that you should work for. Say, for instance, if it is hypertension, if it is thyroid, if it is diabetes, how should I manage myself so that I don't end up onto the OT table? So that's what we get we get completed into the chain, plug in into the chain, and so that uh, it's best for the patient.
Got it. Got it. No, I think I suppose you folks are the first one in terms of the network providers launching an owned insurance. I think.
100% owned insurance in India,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. Got it. Got it. Makes sense. I think that's a big step, right? I think, and one thing, in this sector which is so driven by trust, and there's some value to the faces. It's a human face driven. It's not that you can create animated graphics and performance trends and all of that stuff, right? It's so much driven, right? So how does I think Mr. Devi Prasad Shetty, the founder, right? He's an influential figure in the healthcare industry, right?
Yes.
How do you leverage his brand or his personal positioning for the overall like the network, right? And how integrated that needs to be for you or your job to be easier, right? I think like, is that a strategy that you ensure that, okay, I need to use my founder's face or the credibility that he has built, or that's just very organic, or that just happens without design?
So to be honest, Sir Dr. Shetty has been a bigger brand than Narayana itself, because
Right.
he's been instrumental in terms of building it. A lot of Narayana Health being known is by the efforts that he has put in over the years, over the last 2 decades, and it will continue to have its rub off for the corporate entity.
Right.
And when we plan in terms of saying how do we build trust for the brand name, we completely focus on building the correct information paths, correct visibilities with the brand, and whatever Sir does at a overall on top of it as an organic level. So it's not that because he loves his work, and he's more devoted to seeing patients day in day out, taking a 20-minute from his schedule of not looking at patients or meeting or taking his OPD or OTs. We usually don't plan that way in terms of having any kind of design organically. When it fits in well with whatever strategies we are driving, that gets completely kind of a hand in the glove.
Yeah, I think, in your answer itself is probably the secret of why Narayana is what it is, because at even this stage he, prioritizes patient,
Yes.
Patient care and OPDs and all of that above, marketing or, what to do for business, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's beautiful. That's so much to learn for even founders and CFO like both of us. Right? I think that's brilliant, right? I think let's talk to the about something that that's already happening inside Narayana, is the Insider series that you folks are, right. It's a brilliant, innovative way of showcasing how the internal things happen, and highlights the people that are behind the organization itself, right? I personally love the marathon prep series that the because I'm a runner myself, and I connected with that really, right? So would love to understand like how did that happen, and what's the like, is there an agenda why we are putting that out as a series?
Absolutely an agenda.
Right.
So we as a strategy, we want to build ourselves as a neighborhood focused hospitals, and as a brand which is closer to me in healthcare. Now, if you have to do that, emergency known hospital or a brand becomes much more important. And for that, we have been working in different forms and shapes in terms of building that or bringing in solution to that problem for us. When we were discussing on Inside ER, we were discussing from a point of view of showcasing what actually happens behind the scenes. And again, it was layering on top of saying that we provide the right information. And with that, it has done because the idea was new, the idea was raw in India to be happening for the first time. It has been blessed by people almost having 100 million views for us. And you won't believe that people who have watched the episode, 76% have of viewership for the entire 100% of the episode. So your percentile completion view is way, way high. And being a 10-part series, we've got one completion. A person completing one episode ends up completing 3.5 episodes for us. So that's also a very positive sign in terms of people accepting the kind of content that we wanted to service them with. Now let's come to the part where it says why long form.
Right.
I'll say because it has the capacity and the depth in terms of showcasing viewers the clinical effort that goes behind in the emergency.
Right.
Usually that doesn't come out, and there are not many outlets that can allow me as a viewer to see that for Indian healthcare. And I think that was another push for us, saying that yes, it's the right place for us to be showcasing that, because it works with the larger brand ethos of providing the right information.
Right. No, I think definitely. I think more and more brands and organizations like yourself should put out content that shows normal person also how much effort the doctors or the people behind it take to and I think they deserve all the respect and the regards that we can give, right? I think one thing while doing a research for this that came up very interestingly was you mentioning the entrepreneurship spirit of your children, right? And how is that? What is that? What do you take from that? How are those conversations? Would love to listen.
So yes, of course, it's important for them to understand the value, not only just the value of entrepreneurship spirit, but the value of money. And it was my wife's way of telling them, if you want something, you have to earn it. And they went ahead, and it was their idea, their solution. The objective given to them was that you have to earn something to get something. And they came out well. And I think it's not just the entrepreneurial spirit that I'm learning from them. It's more to do, it's also to add, we were currently down with fever, and both my eldest son and me were down together. And he went to the school a day early, then I came to office. And when he came back that day, he asked me the same question. Why are you still at home? You should have been in office.
Oh my God.
So yes, they push you to be better of you. So that's what I love. And I'm very, very happy that both of them keep asking me these tough questions so that I keep improving myself.
It's tough, to be a dad to, such children where the standards are so high, right? You need to constantly evolve yourself.
So I think you keep doing that at work, at home. So you are never out of it.
Nice, cool. Like last two questions from my side. First is your LinkedIn. I think that's doing very good in the sense that the kind of content that you put out, right? It's not as serious as most people try to put out. I personally believe I believe in that thought process that the lesser seriously we can take ourselves, the better we can do in life in general, not professionally, just overall holistically, right? So you have a knack of doing that. You put out funny, good, humorous, relatable content, right? Is it that just out of the passion of sharing, or is content creation something that you want to do more passionately, or what's the secret behind that?
Humor is just my way.
Okay.
And I find it's very easy to say certain things if said in that fashion.
Right.
I'll say genre. And it makes it quite easy I feel it makes quite easy for the things that you want to say in that genre or fashion. And I tried that first, and I got the validation from people on the network. And I think that the specific social media channel LinkedIn that we're talking about, it's thought to be very, very serious.
Right.
I thought it also brings in that kind of masala,
right,
that can also bring in eyeballs. So it worked out well.
How do you do that? What's the system of putting out content? Because honestly, running a content company and everything, I'm very bad at it. I hate opening LinkedIn. I hate opening. My founder, my team always tells me to post more and do that stuff too, right? But inherently, I'm not a social sharer. I will spend time if needing, right? But I don't get the mental space to. I write when I write personally, right? I write on my notes and all of that stuff. Right? So, what's the process of being able to also be consistent there? Right? It's not easy. It's also a muscle that you train. By being at it, being disciplined. So, what's the secret behind it?
There is no linear formula, first of all.
Right.
But I try to do that on Sundays.
Right.
That's actually my time for my creative massage and let all those juices flow. So Sunday usually morning for me works out, and I try to create content for the next coming weeks.
Lovely.
So that I'm prepared. And we usually do changes if, say, for instance, I have something that has come up which was not planned within the week, something trending or something, say, for instance, a conversation that we had. So from that point of view, I keep that space. At a continuity level, I'm okay. I'm still not there because the people I look up to, they are much, much better and very, very frequent. But as a formula or say as a frequency, universal frequency, I put myself at no more than 3 posts a week.
Got it.
But you try to create them on Sunday itself.
Got it.
And move out of it.
Makes sense, right? And I think just going back to the last question, you've talked about the good things and everything. What are the challenges that you face as a healthcare marketer? Right? I think what are the things that you think, okay, this is tough. This is I hope wasn't the case, in healthcare. All of that. Right? But what are those things?
So it's the only thing that it made me attracted was the challenge itself. See, tomorrow morning I'm not going to get up and say I'm going to go to this particular hospital brand, and I'm going to pay for it as well. Whereas now, if you just flip this, tomorrow morning I'm going to get up and say I'm going to buy an iPhone. When I pay for it, there's a tangible benefit that I see.
Right.
It's an industry where I'm under stress, making a decision, paying some money out of my pocket, and I'm not sure of the outcome.
Right.
When you just look at it from any other industry point of view, I have these already checked out, and that is when I go for a purchase.
Right.
So it's absolutely different from a lot of industries. I have worked in a lot of industries that I've read about and learned about, and that's the biggest challenge. And I think that was the biggest attracting or pull factor for me to enter into the industry as well. And every day is a new learning. And this challenge, it's very hard, I think, for people to kind of switch it. I think it can only be switched over if you build that loyalty. Because industry being a zero loyalty kind of a factor, right?
Right. No, makes sense. I think thank you for answering those questions so beautifully. I think when you listed out all the things that goes against the industry, right? I think it puts into perspective how much more difficult is it to be a hospital chain or a network provider, right? So in the last segment, we have a interesting rapid fire in place for us to know you more, know you better, right?
So do I get the hamper also?
I will send it over. Cool. I think again, the first answer that you get in your mind. I'll refer to my phone here, right? So go to snack during a work day.
Fruits.
Oh. Narayana Health, that's how you stay out of the OT, right?
You can check my lunch packet just right out down there. It will have fruits.
Crazy, right? Beautiful. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
If you could have a dinner with one historical figure, who would it be?
Wow, APJ.
Oh, beautiful. One word to describe your leadership style.
Involved.
Nice. If you weren't in marketing, what you would be doing?
I told you, my family business, I would have been taking care of manufacturing.
Oh, lovely. What was the manufacturing by the way?
Consumer goods, household items. That's our manufacturing.
Lovely. Best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Best piece of advice that you've ever received. It's easier to do things yourself, but it's tougher to get them done. The day you start understanding how to get things done will be the day that you should become a manager. That was the piece of advice I got from my first super boss.
Well,
It's still there.
yeah. Thank you. And favorite part of your job as a CMO?
Favorite parts? Oh wow! I get to spend a lot of time in all the cities that we are part of. That allows me to understand a lot about consumer, and I love understand the nuances that my team on ground brings in each of these cities. So that's my favorite part right now.
Got it. According to you, which Indian brand has their marketing on point?
Well, a lot of them. I'm very happy the way our industry, say the marketing industry, has grown. A lot of them. I was part of one brand that I still feel have done well in terms of till the point they wanted to do the way they wanted to do. Nokia was one of it. No. Now we talk about currently, yes, all-time favorites. I love what Echo does.
Echo?
Echo.
Got it.
What Echo does. I love what Amul does. So there are too many. I think we can spend the entire next half an hour.
Got it. Lakshya, Rocket Singh, Bhag Milka Bhag, Swadesh, which movie inspired you the most?
Swadesh.
Oh.
Amazing.
Shah Rukh Khan?
My wife is, so I have to be. No choice.
I already appreciate your wife much more. A marketing buzzword you're tired of hearing?
Martech.
Martech. Every week there's a Martech award, and do you get invited to those? Cool. If you could change one thing about the way Indians approach health, what would it be?
There is no harm in doing a preventive health checkup.
Okay.
The result of it should not scare you.
I think the problem with Indians is that if they don't get something out of the health checkup, that everything is right, they like that money is wasted, right? I think.
And if something comes out, oh my god, this is what I did.
Yeah, and that's why you shouldn't get checked because they do this and all of that, right? Got it. Cool. I think this was beautiful. I think at gala time, I will get you that hamper definitely. So Ashish, as a closing note, would love to understand the last piece of advice for young folks, people looking to make into the industry, right? What would that advice be in terms of how do you shape up your career, or how do you think about growing in the professional field? What would that be?
I think the first and foremost is don't complicate unnecessarily. The more simple you make the problem to be, the better solutions you will get. So for anyone who's trying to fit into the scene or is trying to make their own name in, and then keep it simple and realistic solutions is the advice for anyone to get into marketing.
Right. Keep it simple. That would be a tagline.
Absolutely.
Got it. Cool. Thank you, Ashish. Thank you. This was lovely. This was beautiful. Thank you for hosting us in your office. And really appreciate the good work that you folks are doing at Narayana Health. I hope you go so much more. And I was at the Narayana 1 office. I think the last time I was in Bangalore, and I think the whole your Mohalla clinic concept, right? I think that's a revolutionary way of how do you get the brand to the people right in front of their houses, right? So I think that's very beautiful. I think I wish you all the best, and I'll be cheering for you from the sidelines.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Nice to meet you, sir. Nice to meet you.